Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dutchy Gaming and a new video on the channel going over my most recent Atlas strategy that I tested. This is sort of a follow-up video to making your own Atlas mechanic, which was my last video, because at the end of this I'm going to go through how I review strategies once I've finished it to see A, if I want to do it again, B, if I did, what would I tweak, and C, what was more profitable out of all the different mechanics that I put on the tree. So for those that love currency and income, I'll just very quickly go through the earnings, but we'll go through it in a bit more detail later in the video. So overall, these maps that I did took about 6 minutes per map. So we're talking about 10 maps per hour. I made 1.7 divines profit per map. So overall profit per hour was about 17 divines. I didn't have anything drop out of the ordinary. I did find one trial master, but he didn't drop anything mega lucrative. I think overall the loot from him was probably a divine. We'll touch on the loot more later. I just wanted to get the headlines out the way so people don't have to watch the whole video if they decide that that's meager and they're not interested in earning that sort of currency for what is a fairly difficult Atlas tree. The reason I wanted to do this strategy was most of my strategies for the last 10 days have been either boss rushing, scour and go, get maps done quickly, get loads of rewards. So I wanted to flip that and do maps where I can put a lot of mechanics in, spend longer in the map, but get big returns. The main reason is, in the last few days, I've been super lazy in between maps. And when you're doing a boss rushing strategy, that is not very good for your currency returns. So I decided to do something that mattered less if I dallied a little bit in between maps, because I know that every map I put in, I'm going to get roughly 1.7 divines out of it. So let's go on to the actual Atlas tree. Essences, you're just taking all of the nodes. It's as simple as that. You can go this way if you want to get more remnants of corruption, or this way if you want more essences to corrupt yourself. In terms of Blight, the only notable I don't want to take is this one, because it just gives you a chance to get a free Blight, but we're using a scarab, so this does nothing. This one we're pathing through, but it doesn't do anything for us. We don't really want area contains Blight because it stops us using a scarab. You want immune response because basically monsters spawn much quicker, so you get the encounters over with quicker. If your build isn't mega strong, I just wouldn't recommend this strategy at all. So I would always take this. We're taking epidemiology, which gives lucky rewards in 3 chests, which I think just means it rolls them twice and gives you the better outcome. Blight chests have more chance to drop blighted maps, obviously very nice. And then we're also taking these 2 small nodes because it's 8% chance to contain an additional reward in a chest. And it gives us 1 more lucky chest for each node. What we're going to do, which we'll come on to when we explain our map selection, is try not to get that many chests into the map. A lot of people think with Blight, you want as many lanes as possible to get as many rewards, but that is not the way to do it, in my opinion. You want to limit the lanes so that you almost guarantee that your Blight chests are the ones that get duplicated and turn into massive piles of chests, because that's where you're going to get most of your rewards from. We're also taking Sturdy Construction to basically kill monsters quicker. Seems pretty decent. We're taking Distilled Fungus, which gives bosses drop an additional anointed jewelry item. Essentially, these are items that are already anointed, and you can use an oil extractor to randomly extract one of the oils used in that anointment process. So any rings that have got a gold oil, I've set up as special on my filter, so I know to pick them up. And then I will use this oil that we're going to go on to in a moment to extract one of those. And then the small nodes give you an additional reward for your boss, along with this spawning a boss. So these nodes actually give you a lot more rewards and 100% must take. You can't not take these nodes. And then lastly, we've got Blight chests in your map have 10% chance to have an extractor, which is what you use on your anointed jewelry. And oils found in your maps have 25% chance to be a tier higher. And then these small nodes here give you more chance to get Blight oils and maps. We're not taking any chance to get Blight. Same with Ultimatum because of forcing them in with scarabs. So we'll now cover off the Ultimatum nodes. Now, this is personal preference. You may want to take different nodes if you decide to do Ultimatum. So we'll cover this wheel off here first. I am taking the Keystone Ruinous Wager because 50% less damage taken is pretty big in Ultimatum. It is super rippy, even with a half decent build. And then I'm basically 100% more chance to get defeat enemies, 100% chance or increased chance to get Protect the Altar. I don't run Survive the Assault and Stone Circles because I hate the mechanic. This doesn't mean it's bad to do. I just don't enjoy doing them, so I skip them. With taking these 2 nodes, out of the 40 maps I did, I only had 6 that were Stand in Stone Circles or Survive. So yes, it does mean for 6 of those maps, I'm not interacting with that mechanic, but it saves me time in a map, which overall is better for me than sitting there doing a mechanic I don't like doing. Profit-wise, you probably lose a tiny bit, but I don't think it's going to be too much. We're taking Prove Yourself Worthy, which makes all your downsides, your modifiers, start a tier higher. So it is making the maps more deadly, but it gives you 25% chance to duplicate any reward. That is super valuable, especially if you do get lucky and it hits on a jackpot item. This is always something worth taking. And if your build can't handle the increased level of modifiers, again, Ultimatum is probably not something for you to do. We're making them harder again by reducing the radius each round, but this one grants rewards as though you completed an additional round. So before we go on with the rest of the tree, this is probably a good time to mention catalysts. It looks like you are guaranteed catalysts on round 4 and round 8 of Ultimatum. By taking this node, it goes down to 3 and 7. By then using a gilded scarab, which we'll come on to later on, it goes down again. So it goes to 2 and 4. So it means that even if you can only get to round 6 because you've messed up, taken the wrong downsides, you're going to get 2 catalyst rewards for everyone that you do. Again, it makes it more difficult, but Ultimatum is one of those encounters that you have to be able to complete the whole thing pretty regularly. I would say 9 times out of 10. Otherwise, you've got a chance of missing out on big jackpot rewards, and that's sort of why you would go Ultimatum. This small cluster here, we are taking every one of these notables, which gives you more chance to get divination cards, unique items, and then currency. The reason we're doing it is obviously more currency is good, but you do get bubblegum, you get rubbish uniques, you get bad div cards, but you get bad rares, and you get them in abundance in Ultimatum. Taking these nodes means you get a lot less of them. So you would rather have a chance of having a big div card than getting another rare item. We take all of the small wheel because these give you increased chance to be inscribed ultimatums, and these are about 150c minimum. We're taking the boss. If you get him, drops a full stack of random catalysts, and we're taking lots of chance for basically increased chance for Trial Master. I don't think it's massive because I think the chance is about 2%. So it essentially takes it from 2% up to about about 3%. It's not very big at all, but why not take them? The Trial Master can drop huge loot, so if we can increase the chance, then it seems worthwhile. And that's kind of it for the Ultimatum nodes and the tree. I don't take any chance as mentioned because I'm getting them from scarabs. The only other important thing to note is we're taking all the gateways and 7th gate to put essence on the map device. We'll go over the map selection and what other items I'm using on this strategy. So for maps, I'm using Carcass. Now we mentioned earlier on that we're taking lots of nodes that give increased chests in either random piles or piles that a boss spawns from. Because of this, we don't want many lanes, the fewer the better. Even one lane, Blight, are good because they're guaranteed to be oils and maps. So the way Blight works is you're guaranteed to have at least one reward that is a Blight chest. With all the mechanics we've got, we can increase these chest piles from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 reward chests. To do that, we want the Blight to only be able to go in specific directions. If we were to do a map like Dunes that's massively open, you might get 4 lanes going off your Blight encounter. They might both split into 2 and you end up with 8 rewards chests. It's then going to be harder to do because you're going to have lots of monsters all over the place, but it's also going to have less chance that those extra bosses and extra lucky chance and all those things we're doing get added to our Blight chests. Because of that, we're running Carcass. It's essentially a super narrow map where you can't really fail to get just 2 lanes in your Blight. If you get 2 lanes, I think it means the maximum amount of chests that can spawn is 4. I think it may be more, but it limits the chance. It also makes it easier because you've only got 2 points that enemies are coming from. What I found in Carcass is I normally have between 1 to 3 reward chests. One of them is always oils, and I was always spawning at least 3 bosses, it seemed, in Blight. So you've got a much better chance of getting more maps and oils if you make sure you limit the number of lanes and therefore limiting the number of portals that can spawn monsters. Ultimatum, it doesn't matter too much because even if you had a map that was just one very narrow corridor, it will just make a space for your Ultimatum, a bit like it does when you go in and do something like Syndicate and you have the one where you have to break the doors down. It will make a separate space in the map for that to fit in. Because of this though, I couldn't buy maps. No one was selling Carcass maps at the time I did this strategy. So I also selected Channel as a map because that also has a lot of good linear parts. There are a couple of sections where it can spawn Blights you don't really want, but overall that was decent as well, and I got very good rewards from it. I did sustain just about because I ended up taking connected map nodes to get those up a little bit, and I just about sustained. But my recommendation would be, if you're going to do a strategy that involves Blight, and it's going to be a strategy where you're not turning over tons of maps quickly, try and buy the map layout that you want. There are other decent layouts, it's just that I think Carcass is the best one. So we've gone through map favorites, which would just be Carcass in everyone other than Channel. And then in terms of what I'm using, it is just Gilded Blight, because this gives us another boss and more rewards. And then Gilded Ultimatum, because like I mentioned earlier, this gives that thing where you complete an additional round for free, essentially. So when you start your Ultimatum, your first reward is essentially reward number 3. When you get up to 10, that's essentially reward number 12. Along with that, we're using Essence on the map device. And I'm also chiseling and alching my maps because quantity, I think, from testing a bit further, makes a difference for Catalyst, but I didn't see much difference for anything else. But Catalyst can be big money. I did try 8 mob maps, but my character just could not handle them. I completed some ultimatums, but I died in a couple. And I think getting to the end is probably more important than a few more catalysts, because that's where your jackpot items might come from. I've seen people drop in headhunters, duplicated headhunters, mage bloods, big divination cards. I haven't had any of that stuff, but you can. And I would almost treat Ultimatum as ritual. It's a mechanic where you will get steady income, but you have a chance of getting jackpot items. It is good returns anyway, but it is difficult and there's other things that are much better. But if you're someone who likes to shoot for those jackpot items and you don't want to magic find, this is actually a pretty good mechanic to do, but you're not guaranteed to get that lucky drop. And then we'll just go into the map, complete it, do the Blight, do the Ultimatum, get our essences done, kill the boss if we wander past him, get out, go again. That's simple, but it is difficult. Ultimatum can get very rippy because sometimes it will just offer you 3 options that you just don't want to take because they're going to make it very deadly. I failed a couple, but they were 8 mob maps. Other than that, there were some dicey moments because I had to take downsides that I really didn't want to take. So you do need a very strong character. And then you kind of question yourself about, well, if I have this amazingly strong character, why am I doing this mechanic that, unless I get lucky, is not any better or even worse than just boss rushing in scoured maps? In terms of other supplies, we are using 1 compass, which is oils found in your maps are a tier higher, but cost of towers is doubled. Doesn't really matter. I don't need towers, which means the +1 oils is just a really, really good upside. And these are cheap. At the time of recording, I paid 10C per compass. That's 2.5 chaos per map to get guaranteed +1 oils in your map. We also have the node on the tree that gives us 25% chance to increase the tier again. So it does mean that 1 in 4 opalescent oils will turn into a gold oil on average. So before we go over the loot, let's go over how I felt that Atlas strategy went and did I enjoy it? Well, the fact this video is coming out after 40 maps kind of says didn't enjoy it that much. There were aspects about it that I really liked, but there were aspects about it I really didn't. Map sustain, as I mentioned, was the first annoyance. It does seem that unless you take singular focus, that it's just very RNG as to whether you sustain maps on chisel, alch, and go. I couldn't do that because it will ruin a lot of my Blight maps. So I had the option of buying maps, which they weren't available. So there were times where I didn't have any channel or any of my favorite maps to drop. So I had no Carcass, no channel. So I had to go into my stash and look what other random maps I might have. I did sustain maps. They just weren't the one I wanted to sustain all of the time. So I'd have to go in and say, oh, well, Crimson Temple is not a terrible layout for Blight. I'll go and do that. Or Waste Pool is not horrible. I'll go and do that. But overall, it was pretty annoying in terms of maps. In terms of the mechanics, I actually quite enjoyed doing Blight. When you've got a powerful character, it's almost AFK. You just stand by the portals and hold whatever attack or spell you've got. You put some totems up or towers if you want to. And overall, it was very profitable and very brain dead and easy. Was it fun? Not really, but I guess it was chilled. Ultimatum was far from chilled, and actually I didn't enjoy it in the end. And the reason I wouldn't do this mechanic anymore in terms of an Atlas tree is Ultimatum. It is profitable and it is fun when you get something like 5 prismatic catalysts and it duplicates because that's over divine. Every time you see an inscribed ultimatum, if that duplicates, that's 300 chaos. But overall, I just didn't love the mechanic as much as I thought I would. And you got to look at in future leagues, if inscribed ultimatums aren't included in challenges, which is the only reason they're worth anything, then that really drops your profit and you're basically playing for Catalyst, which you'll get more in Heist. So essentially you are doing Ultimatum, like I said earlier, if you want a jackpot item and you like doing it. Essence, I would, if you can, put it in every single Atlas strategy. It's stupid how profitable it is for something that takes seconds to do. So this seems like a good time to go into the loot. So this is the loot I had dropped from my 40 maps, not including about 8 to 10 divines. I forget the exact amount worth of inscribed ultimatums, which are not priced on here and in my stash tab. So the first thing we need to go for is oils. And I haven't sold these yet. I haven't started selling all of my loot. My worry is that these might take a while to sell because do people bulk buy oils? I don't know. Maybe there's certain oils that are really good to use on blighted maps or blight ravaged maps that you can sell in bulk to these people who run those maps, but I don't know because I'm kind of new at this mechanic. Preference would be with oils is I'm just going to upgrade them all to gold. It's going to lose me some money overall because you can see silvers are 72c and gold 175 and it's 3 silvers for a gold. But I want to minimize my trading, but I don't know if people buy golds in bulk. Can I do like X amount of oils for 10 divines? I have no idea, but we'll find out when we get to the selling. So maybe I don't upgrade the silvers because Sovereignty, which is quite a popular anoint, is 3 silvers. So you could sell these for 3 silvers for whatever currency you wanted to. My worry about oils is that I'm going to be forever selling them because people are going to be, I want 1 gold, I want 2 silver. They don't want any more than that because that's all they need for their anointment. So maybe I need to go on TFT and see if you can bulk sell oils without taking a ridiculous cut in your profits. In terms of blighted maps, they'll be easy to sell. It looks like you can bulk sell them on TFT, even if I've had to undercut everyone else. I'm happy to do that for a quick sale. And it's value in each map at about 40c for some layouts. I don't know if that's correct because it doesn't seem like in bulk sell that they're that pricey. So I would say maybe we say every map is 30c. That puts them at about 7.5 blighted maps for a divine, which seems about right. But overall, if we just look at the value that we get given from Wealthy Exile, it's 12 divines for our maps. Actually, let's do blighted maps. 11 divines for blighted maps. And then we've got 18 divines for oil. So yeah, 72 divines and almost half of that came from Blight. Let's have a look at Catalyst. These are 11 divines, but we did find the Trial Master, which gave us a couple of tainted ones that are over 1.2 divines for both of them. So overall, nothing amazing. 10 divines in 40 maps is a quarter of divine in Catalyst. Not probably worth it, I don't think. And we didn't get particularly unlucky. We did get prismatics. We got fertiles. We did get, yeah, some decent overall intrinsic. We got quite a lot of that are worth some money. So overall, with the inscribed ultimatums and catalysts, I don't think it makes ultimatum good. But you do get the chance of 2 divine orbs, 4 divine orbs. They might duplicate that. You might get a big ticket item, but that is in hope more than anything else. So I do think treat it as a jackpot mechanic if you want to do it. And then if we just go lastly and look at essences, over 8 divines worth of essences based on these prices. They'll change slightly if you level them up. But overall, it looks like about 8 divines, which over 40 maps for 2 cows investment per map. And these are done in seconds. Definitely something I will keep in the strategy. So overall, I wouldn't do this again because I didn't love Ultimatum. But Blight was very profitable and very easy once you've got a half decent character. Or if you haven't, as long as you can set your towers up properly again, it's fairly easy. Essence is, again, if your build can do it, a no-brainer. It's very, very easy to kill them quickly, get the currency, and move on. So if I was to tweak this, I would look for something else to replace Ultimatum with. I think something like Harvest would work perfectly if you can get everything synergizing together with getting your pack size and getting all your quantity and rarity that you want into the map, or just quantity, I guess. Because I think Harvest, again, is something that takes a little while to do, but the life force is crazy money. So if you could guarantee that you walked out of each map with half a divine to 3/4 of a divine worth of life force, that'd be something really good to pair with Blight. It would make up for Ultimatum, and I would think overall it's probably quicker to do than Ultimatum. And again, you got the, not jackpot, but you got a chance of bosses and sacred blossoms and things like that. So overall, if I was to look to do this strategy again next week, I would drop Ultimatum, go Harvest, look at what compasses I could get into the strategy to make that easier and more profitable, and go from there. So I don't think there's much more to go through. It's not a strategy I'd recommend. I just like to bring videos out about every strategy that I try, just in case someone's looking to do something similar. I also know there's probably things I've missed. It was, as I say, a DIY Atlas tree along with all the supplies. And I don't do these mechanics very often. There may be blatant things I've missed and I could have added 15 divines to my profit. So let me know in a video description if there's anything you've seen that I've fundamentally done very wrong. So in terms of profit, it was 1.7 per map with 10 maps run per hour on average. So you're talking 17 divines profit. So it's something per hour that I think is okay, but I don't think it's any more than a lot of much easier and more accessible strategies, like the Deli Rush-in with your invitations. I think with this character that I've used, that would be more than the 17 divines. You can obviously go Affliction, Cemetery, you're going to get way more than 17 divines. I didn't get any jackpot items. If I did, that might push it up to 30 divines an hour, but I didn't get it, and I don't think you should expect to. So overall, I wouldn't recommend it unless you love Ultimatum and you love Blight, because it's no more profitable or less profitable than a lot of other easier, more accessible strategies. But again, as with my last video, it comes down to what you enjoy doing. At the start, I enjoyed it, but after the last few maps, I just wanted to finish it because Ultimatum was really starting to annoy me, along with map sustain. That's kind of it for the video. I hope these kind of insight type review videos are helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.